It's the race to buy the Telegraph. Who are the latest runners and riders? I'm going to read into this article from Press Gazzi's The Future of Media. I'm not 100% convinced by them, but the information that they have with regards to the story is fascinating to say the least. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Press Garcia, The Future of Media. I'm not familiar with them, to be fair. With the headline that the race to buy the Telegraph, who are the latest runners and riders, including the latest from Lord Rothermere and the Barclays. So this story, guys, so I've been trying to find there was an article from The Guardian, but it wasn't as informative as this one. As you guys may or may not have been aware, there's a race right now, excuse me, at the time of this recording, to buy the Telegraph. And obviously, who basically owns it, because they have quite a big influence, shall we say, in the media spectator. So whoever basically takes over them is going to have quite some sway. And there's quite a lot of runners in it. And also there's some other information with regards to media I think is quite fascinating as well. But just on the part of who's going to own the Telegraph, obviously there's quite a few. It's not good that companies or people from abroad have control of media because they are allowed to influence public decision. I think it's a bit dangerous, depending on who they are. Just like when you have foreign investments in football clubs, I think as well. I think it's all there is a niche. There's the need to be having more regulation when it comes to what media produces. But I'll share more thoughts as we go along, guys. So let's read into it. So obviously it started back in October, but there have been updates obviously as time has passed. So the former sale process of the Telegraph Media Group and The Spectator, both opposite businesses, began on Friday the 20th of October. Several well-known media figures have expressed an interest in taking part in the auction for the media brand, including bosses behind the Daily Mail, GB News and the News Movement, as well as the Telegraph's most recent owners themselves. The starting gun was fired in June when Lloyds Banking Group seized the Telegraph and The Spectator from the Barclays family, who owed around $1 billion in outstanding debt. So when will the Telegraph be sold? The current value of the Telegraph is put at around £600 million. Since the process began, its latest financial results have been published, indicating growing profit and revenue. Telegraph Media reports turnover for 2022 is up 4% year on year to 254.2 million. Apologies for the coughing, guys. And profit before tax up 32% to 39 million. The publisher, including recent acquisitions Chelsea Magazine Company, has also reached a milestone of 1 million subscribers. The Spectator, meanwhile, saw revenue rise by 2% to 20.8 million in 2022. Operating profits dropped 10% to 2.6, which first editor Fraser Nelson said could be put down to investment in the US, Australia, and sister fine art magazine Apollo. The Spectator currently has a team of 37 journalists. UK subscriptions set on an average of 93,000 in 2022, down from a peak of more than 100,000 during the COVID-19 lockdown. There were also 9,390 subscribers for the Australian edition and 15,000 to US-based Spectre World. So it's just, again, for those who don't know, they have quite an empire here. They have quite an influence, obviously, in other parts of the world and not just the UK here. So whoever controls it is going to have without a doubt, some influence. The auction process for both the Telegraph and the Spectator titles, which has been organised by Goldman Sachs, was initially expected to begin in September, but finally, officially launched on Friday the 20th of October. Lloyds said it wants a quick sale to ensure it is concluded before the next general election, which is expected to be held at some point in 2024. One well-placed source said they believed the whole process would take 6 months from the time Lloyds took control, meaning it is likely to be concluded this year. Well, as of right now, it has not been concluded, just for the record. I do apologise for the coughing, guys. Honestly don't know what it is. Press Gazzi's will update the following story as been confirmed or discarded on new information comes to light. Any of the people or businesses mentioned could be bid individually or jointly, not not at all. So, so who wants to buy the Telegraph or the Spectator? So, The former Telegraph owners, the Barclays family. I'm happy with the titles being taken away from them. The Barclays family are hoping to regain control of the Telegraph and the Spectator's brands with the backing from investors based in Abu Dhabi. Their separate initial offer, thought to be in the region of £500–600 million, was quickly rejected. But since they have tabled a £1.2 billion bid to repay all of the debt they owe Lloyds from backing from investors in the UAE. On Monday, the 20th of November, Abu Dhabi-backed investment fund Redbird IMI, led by ex-CNN President Jeff Suckers as chief executive, and is expected to take control of the Telegraph and Spectator after agreeing Lloyds to repay the Barclays debt. It said Redbird IMI, a joint venture between Redbird Capital and of the US and International Media Investment of Abu Dhabi, have reached an agreement to provide a package of loans to the Barclays family, allowing them to pay off their debts to Lloyds Bank in full and bring the Telegraph and Spectator out of receivership. Redbird IMI will provide a loan to the value of $600 million secured against the Telegraph and the Spectator. Additionally, International Media Investments will provide a loan of similar amount secured against other Barclays family businesses and commercial interests. Excuse me. Under the terms of this agreement, Redbird IMI has an option to convert the loans secured against the Telegraph and Spectator into equally and intends to exercise this option at the earliest opportunity. There's an option to read the full statement. I'll put the link in the description for the full statement if you really want it, guys. The Telegraph has reported that Manchester City owner Sheikh Mansour, Deputy Prime Minister of UAE, is involved in the deal also. Asked at the launch with the FT at the start of November whether he was in the mix of the Telegraph bid, Sucker said, "I'm not going to talk about that." However, he said he was absolutely interested in news and information, startups or establishment companies, but it has to make economic sense. The potential involvement of such a large portion of UAE money has resulted in a group of Conservative MPs writing to Culture Secretary Lucy Fraser and Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Downe, urging close scrutiny over the deal. In the letter first revealed by Bloomberg, they wrote, "Material influence over a quality national newspaper has been passed to a foreign ruler at any time should raise concerns, but given the global geopolitical context, such a deal must be investigated." The Barclay brothers, Sir David and Sir Frederick, bought the Telegraph and Spectator titles from Conrad Black in 2004 for £665 million, around £1.1 billion today when inflation is taken into account. Sir David died in January 2021 and Sir Frederick is now 88, but at the time of Lloyds repossessing the Telegraph Media Group in June, Sir David's son Aidan and Howard sat on the board. So, Lord Rothermere, the DMGT. So, this is the guy which owns the Mail, the Metro, the Eye, and New Scientist title, confirmed in August, and it was considering a bid for the Telegraph alongside Venters, but has since decided to go in alone. It has since explained that the potential benefits of takeover, learning from the Telegraph subscription and business, has the potential of growing at it in the US. So, as you guys know, before I go any further, obviously. So obviously I do take some stories from the iNews, as you guys know, and I do take some funny stories from the Metro. Obviously the Metro's not really one. The Mail, obviously I can't get news sources from the Mail because they're behind a paywall. The Eye is also behind a paywall, but they had a good deal at the time, so I've got like a year subscription on that. I'm not sure if having a subscription on the Mail is probably worth it, but I would say that so far it doesn't feel. I don't know Lord Rothermere too well, but Rothermere too well, but it doesn't feel too right wing as compared to like the Express and the Daily Mail sort of espionage, shall we say, of things. Spokesperson said the Rothermere's family has a unique record of a custodian of newspapers, and since Lord Rothermere took DMGT private, its focus as a consumer news business puts it at an ideal position to provide the resources, management and expertise and long-term decisions the Telegraph needs for its journalism to thrive. The Telegraph's success in business, a subscription model, will help us reinforce the strength of our existing business. Daddy, we do believe there is a strong potential to scale the Telegraph abroad, particularly in the US, which is having very successful done with the Mail. Rothermere took DMGT private at the end of 2021, with him and his family paying close to the $1.6 billion for part of the company they did not already own. The DMGT initially held talks with the Middle Eastern investors, though emphasizing it would only do a deal if it kept economic and editorial control, but it later decided to pursue the bid alone. In a rare interview with the Times, Rothermere explained why. We went down the road of talking to people both in the Middle East and in the US. In the end, I just thought to myself, it's just too difficult. If you're in bed with a financial investor, their normal term time frames is 3 to 5 years. They want to know how they're going to make more money over that period. I think it's a lot of the fruits are just going to be born over a much longer period of time. If you're in Rothermere described the Telegraph as a great brand, and it also attracts great journalists. And after all, what is a news organisation is adding the Telegraph to one of the great newspapers of the world. It's impossible for me to just walk by. And he said existing parts of the DMGT could learn from its subscription business. I think we can carry on being mostly advertising, but also build a premium subscription product as well. The size of DMGT's existing empire means a challenge from the Competition and Markets Authority if it attempts to buy the Telegraph titles. Press gauge and analysis earlier this year shows that if DMGT bought the Telegraph, it would control more than 50% of the daily national newspaper market in the UK. So here, I'm just going to switch out to the camera here, guys. So this is the UK's annual national newspaper market by circulation and publisher, combining recent ABC data from April 2023 and estimated based on the most recent reported circular calculations. So who's what here? So Reach here have 6,669 and 759. Is it under most recent reported calculation figures? There. Financial Times 109,000 there, so they have a small majority. There's Guardian News and Media 74,000. So in terms of how much cover, so obviously some of us who are a bit more left wing and that like to read from that side, they don't have as much influence in the UK from the newspaper perspective. The team Rothermere there has already quite a huge influence in the United Kingdom, but he would have more than 50% there. As you can see, if he takes the Telegraph, if he was to seize control of the Telegraph, it would take him more than 50% there. The obviously News UK, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch there, has a significant chunk. We know some of the papers that they own, of course. They're 934,000, and Reach there is 669,000. It's not a fair pie, that's for sure. It doesn't look very fair pie at all. I don't like that Murdoch still has a quarter, I would say just over a quarter of influence in the UK when it comes to media. But I also don't like the fact that Rothermere, whether he's within the best interest or not for British media, I don't like that he has this much control either. This pie needs to be split a lot more. And it's just, and obviously I know it's from April, but it kind of gives some perspective just how much certain people have a great deal of influence when it comes to control, when it comes to newspapers. Like I've said, when people walk past convenience shops or whatever and they'll look at the headlines and that, they can influence a person's decision and thoughts. So I think that's really good to put into perspective here. So we've got another one here. I'm just going to read this bit here. Takeover of the Sunday Telegraph would take it to about 32% of the Sunday market, less than 40% controlled by News UK Incorporated, The Sun on Sunday and The Sunday Times. So this one here is the UK national Sunday newspaper market by circulation and partner and publisher, combining the most recent ABC data from April 2023 and estimated based on the most recent reported circulation figures. So this is obviously with regards to Sunday. So as you can see there, Murdoch has a lot more influence when it comes to on the Sundays papers there. Reach 570,000 there. Guardian 96,000. DC Thompson there 42,000. Rothermere a bit less there, but obviously Telegraph Media Group there it's 147,000. So again, their influence would grow on a Sunday if they were to combine there. But again, the pie is, I like I've said it before about the pie guys. I think these guys just have way too much influence. Needs to be more split. I think maybe we should even consider, like, when there's reform for media, that perhaps what it should be is a case of is that a foreign owner or business can only own one media outlet in the UK instead of multiple outlets. They can only own one media outlet. They can't own more than one, or maybe limit it to 2 or 3 or something. Like really limit the influence that they can have on the media, basically, because it's too much power, and you can take that power away by cutting it right down. Obviously, there's no government that's going to have the goal to do that, but it would make more sense if they did. So Ron Moore told the Times, "I have faith that the CMA is going to look at this in a proper way, and I don't really want to front run their answers and make them feel any way that I'm trying to influence their judgment." But he emphasised the independence given its editors at the Mail, the Eye and Metro title, saying, "Do I want to get involved? No, I don't. I generally don't, but it's not my remit. I edit." Ollie Duff told the Press Gazette last month. Rothermere was known for the letting editors edit. Rothermere has previously expressed an interest in buying the Telegraph in 2004 and said at the time it was a complex transaction, and in the end Barclay bought it and paid a higher price than I was willing to pay. So here's another one here. David Montgomery's National World. The former local World Trinity Mirror boss, Montgomery re-entered the market at the start of 2021 when he bought the former JPI Media newspaper titles through the news company National World PLC. Amid ongoing dissatisfaction from the existing National World staff over pay and redundancies, which has led to 3 strikes over strike action, Montgomery is now considering expanding the companies further by putting a bid for the Telegraph. The company confirmed its interest in August, telling investors National World notes media speculation that it is a possible participant in the sale process surrounding the Telegraph Media Group and its associated titles. As the company had previously announced, its growth strategy is rooted in actively exploring opportunities to build its businesses through acquisitions and implementing its new operational model for owned assets. The board continues to evaluate accelerated opportunities to grow the business and will consider participation in the sale of the Telegraph Media Group. And when such a process formality commences, there can be no certainty that an acquisition would take place, nor is it to the terms of such an acquisition. Sky News has now reported that Montgomery is close to appointing Cavendish Capital Markets and Peel Hunt to raise the financing to buy both Telegraph titles. The firms would work alongside Rothschild, which is providing corporate finance advice to Mr. Montgomery and Downgate Securities, its existing broker. So, yeah, quite a lot. People already having quite an influence. They just want a slice of that pie, to be fair. Now, this is the one that nobody wants getting their hands on the Telegraph. GB News investor Sir Paul Marshall. So Paul Marshall is the co-founder of the hedge fund Marshall Was and is said to be leading a planned bid for the Telegraph. Telegraph has reported Sir Paul is working with investor banks Monde on the potential bid and is holding discussions with US billionaires and hedge fund founder Ken Griffin, one of the world's richest men, to potentially take over part of the consortium. Griffin is a donor to the Republican Party in the US. Although he did not contribute to Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, any potential involvement in the Telegraph would be his first personal entry into the media business. It would be in a personal capacity and not through his hedge fund capital, the FT reported. Sir Paul has been an investor in GB News in a personal capacity since before its launch in 2021. He has since renewed his investment, saying he was proud that the broadcaster is providing space for genuine independent thinking, insightful discussions and impartial analysis, but not groupthink. I think we can make our own judgments about what we think of GB News, if I'm honest, guys. Potentially, he's known for donating to the Vote Leave campaign ahead of the 2016 Brexit referendum. Telegraph also declared the Leave, according to the Press Gazette. Brexitometer was the third most biased national newspaper towards Brexit, behind the Daily Express and the Daily Mail. Sir Paul is also a financial backer of Unheard, the news site set up by the former Times columnist Tim Montgomery in 2017. And it said it aims to push back against the herd mentality with new and bold thinking to provide a platform for otherwise unheard ideas, people and places. Unheard said it is not aligned with any political party, and its media pack shows a split among the audience of 34% right of centre, 29% of centre, and 21% of left of centre. So this is the guy you want to avoid. You don't want him. I think out of all the ones, he's the one you probably want to avoid. We want to avoid him getting his hands on it. So another one, Axel Springer. Axel Springer was pulled out of the running, according to FT, on November the 17th after deciding he was not willing to pay the likely £600 million price tag. German publisher Axel Springer had registered his interest to buy the Telegraph titles with Goldman Sachs ahead of its upcoming auction, according to Sky News. The publisher previously attempted to buy the Telegraph in the 2004 race and was ultimately won by the Barclays. Axel Springer was founded by the publisher of the same in 1946 with ambitions to create the biggest newspaper publisher in Europe. Its biggest German titles included Bild and Die We, but it is now active in 40 countries and major acquisitions including the Insider in 2015 and Politico in 2021. It also created cultivated news app Update as part of a strategic partnership with Samsung, on whose phones and apps appear. Ex-Telegraph editor William Lewis as well there. Just before that, another potential, obviously, person in the running there. Yeah, another one. I just it's all these people. I'm just like, I just want it to be someone who's going to allow the Telegraph to give fair and it won't be biased media from them. That's kind of what I'm kind of hoping for, if I'm honest. And finally, ex-Telegraph. Oh, there's a couple more. Yeah, here. Ex-Telegraph editor William Lewis. It's updated that Lewis has looked likely to follow through the proposal to buy the Telegraph after being appointed chief executive and publisher of the Washington Post at the start of November. Again, this is the latest update, so as I said, guys, things can change, obviously, from this. Ex-Telegraph editor Sir William Lewis told Bloomberg he has lined up funding to take over his former employer. He said in an interview, "I love the Telegraph. It's a fantastic journalist organisation. It would be really interested to find a way to buy it. We have the support to do it," although he added that the title needed digital product and service refresh. Lewis did not share who was involved or how much funding he had offered, saying he only had received significant expression of interest in a wide range of potential backers. He added there would not be unilaterally reject Middle Eastern support, but there are currently no Saudi Arabian business partners involved. Lewis edited the Daily Telegraph between 2006 and 2009 and led a major period of its digital transformation. He's now chief executive and co-founder of the News Movement, a social-led-up startup focusing on reaching Gen Z audiences, alongside former BBC editorial director Kamal Ahmed, who is the editor-in-chief. Lewis said the aim is it to be profitable by the end of 2024. Lewis was knighted in former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Resignation Honours List this year. He was described as a political advisor to Johnson and recognised for his political and public office. Okay, well that just tells me we don't want him anywhere near it. Stay away from it. Just based on that itself, guys. Just stay away. Stay away. I mean, most of them, I'm probably pretty sure most of you guys are just thinking, yeah, we don't want any of them. Ex-Le Monde investor Daniel Kretinsky. If I said that right, I apologise. Wrong, I apologise. Czech billionaire businessman Daniel Kretinsky, I'm going to call him Daniel, be easier, is interested in taking part in the auction process for the Telegraph, according to the Financial Times, although he has previously prefers to invest in media that is in need for some sort of support and not in our DNA to fight for trophies. The FT suggested it may not seek control but may want to take part in a bid led by someone as a minority stakeholder. Daniel is the biggest shareholder in Royal Mail, and it's the second biggest in Sainsbury's, and also owns a number of other significant stakes, including in German wholesale, Metro and French supermarket Casino. Until this month, Daniel has held a stake for 5 years in the French daily newspaper Le Monde, which is now sold to French billionaire Xavier Niel in a deal worth around 50 million. This guy's is the biggest shareholder in Royal Mail. Well, you only need to see where the Royal Mail is at to know what his priority is with that. He's the biggest shareholder in Royal Mail. But that just tells you everything. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. We already know about Rupert Murdoch. Multiple reports have claimed Murdoch wants to buy The Spectator, potentially to expand it further in the US when it first launched a dedicated offering in 2018 when it could align with the right-leaning news brands like Fox News and New York Post. Murdoch has announced his intention to step down. Yep, we know about that. Telegraph. Since the auction began, the Telegraph reported that Murdoch has lined up a bid for the newspaper, not just The Spectator as previously claimed. So Murdoch could be interested in the Telegraph as well. Things could change at the time of this recording. And finally, last one, guys. Ex-Mail online boss Martin Clarke. According to the new European Mandrake Mandrake column, the former Mail Online editor-in-chief and DMGT media publisher Martin Clarke is hoping to put together a consortium to make a bid. Like we're focusing on maximising the Telegraph's potential digital growth, Clarke left the Mail Online, which he led for 12 years in February 2022, to pursue new challenges, but has since kept a low profile. Again, another one we don't want, really. I know this was a long one, guys, I know. So there's some of the runners and riders for potentially for the Telegraph and Spectator. Obviously, just to point out, caveat, this was last updated. I'm just going to let you guys know from the article. This was last updated on the 21st of November. So just for reference, in case anybody's asking. I know it was a long one, but I think it's quite useful for us to see where the Telegraph and the potential bidders are going for it. So what do I make of some of these runners and riders? I don't trust any of them. I don't think there's anyone there who's going to be like, yeah, it's going to be really, really good. I would say, who is the least I think the question we need to be asking ourselves, guys, who is going to be the least rotten of apples out of all of them? I think it's the question we need to ask ourselves. And I'm probably going to say probably Lord Rothermere, maybe. I'm going to say. I don't know too much about David Montgomery's National World, but obviously Sir Paul Marshall is not trustworthy. Axel Springer, ex-Telegraph editor William Lewis, another one I'm not sure about. Daniel Kretinsky, no, definitely not. And Rupert Murdoch, well, we already know about that. And then ex-Mail Online boss Martin Clarke, another one we don't really want to go to. So that's probably where I'm going to sit. But obviously, guys, take your time. Take again your time on what you think it could be, because is it really? I mean, the Telegraph and the Spectator, they have influence. They have a great deal of influence, and whoever gets that influence is going to have a great deal of influence within the United Kingdom. Never mind just the world, because it specifically this is about the control the voices of opinions here. Media, as we guys know, have huge amounts of sway and influence, and if done right, can really poison the minds of people in the wrong ways. And it is a difficult one, to say the least. Would it be nice if Byline Times could buy the Telegraph and Spectator? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that's a bit of a far-fetched thing. So apologies for the exceedingly long video, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What did you guys make of the runners and riders for the Telegraph, the Spectator? I'm sure some of you guys watching this probably have far more knowledge and information about this than I do. So please feel free to share in the comment section down below about some of the runners and riders yourselves, and who you think is the best, who you think is best in terms of giving the most accurate and fairest of information to the British public out of those runners and riders, who you think they are. Interested to hear your thoughts, guys, on it. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share across social media, hit the bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I go live. And if you want to financially support me, you can do that by buying me a coffee or joining my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.